Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's video. Kind of following along with the past couple of videos, we're going to be talking about OCD again. Specifically, we're going to be looking at some popular TikToks where people talk about OCD and kind of just discussing them. As a disclaimer, we will not be diagnosing or undiagnosing people in these videos. We're just going to kind of talk about what they present and their symptoms.
Because that would be unethical.
That would be unethical.
That would be. And maybe we'll even discuss a little bit of what our follow-up questions would be. You know, if somebody were coming into our office and presenting or telling us some of these kinds of symptoms. That way you can maybe get a better idea of what these symptoms look like, maybe what they would be indicative of, and maybe some things that we would want to know as therapists to help us know how to better help you find the treatment that you need.
Okay.
Let's do it.
How I shower with severe OCD. Meet my worst enemy, the shower. It usually starts by me thinking I'm not turning the faucet right. Even though my safe number is 4, I'll probably end up doing it 80 times. My shower routine consists of a lot of repetition and intrusive thoughts. Probably because there's literally nothing else to think of in the shower, so I just think of weird. I have to do everything in 4. So condition, shampoo, body wash 4 times. I can't do 4 plus 2 because that equals 6 and I don't like that number. Or 4 times 3 equals 12 and that's too close to 13. My mind puts a lot of hard work into thinking behind it. I always need a fresh new towel just because I don't want to have my old thoughts on. Picking out my clothes is a collective show. All of my hangers have to be the same. I can only wear certain colors. So this whole routine can take up to 2 hours.
Okay. So this girl's taking a 2-hour shower with lots of, I don't know what you'd call them, ritual kind of behaviors. What do you think? What do you notice? What stands out?
Yeah, so some of the things that would stand out to me as a therapist is, first of all, the amount of time that this takes.
Yeah.
One of the things we're always looking for when we're doing some kind of like mental health treatment or diagnosing is how much distress is this causing you, and how much is this taking you away from your like daily activities. A 2-hour shower is a pretty significant amount of time for somebody to have to take.
Yeah, I agree. There's that, and then you also see some of those. You talked about it as a ritualistic behavior, but she talked about turning the knob of the shower multiple times. I think she said she would probably end up doing it 80 times, right?
Yeah.
And then
In multiples of 4.
that was the other thing. Yeah. So you can see that there's definitely an intrusive thought there, and she's probably trying to reduce the stress of that thought by adequately doing it sufficiently for whatever her brain has determined is best. So yeah, I think we can definitely see that there are some OCD traits there for sure.
What would you classify? I was wondering about this, like when she has to use a new towel because the other one has the yesterday's thoughts or whatever on it. You know what I mean? What would that fall under? How would you explain that kind of behavior?
So it's still like some of those like ritualistic or superstitious type thoughts, right? Has to be in multiples of 4, has to be a new towel, has to be hangers the correct direction in the right way and the right color of clothing, right? All of those things are some of that kind of superstitious kind of thinking that has really intense associated intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. This will probably be a follow-up question I have for a lot of the videos we watch, but I think an important follow-up question for someone who, if this girl showed up in your office, right, and was telling you this, would be, what would happen if you didn't do those things, right? And she doesn't really talk about that in the video, which, like we've said, makes it not our place to diagnose anything, but like when you have these kind of behaviors, what kind of things are people trying to avoid usually?
Well, because in line with what you're following up with is, so if you don't turn the knob in multiples of 4, I think she said she didn't like the number 12. So it could be like
it was
multiples
too close to 13.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. What would happen if you don't? Can you tolerate it? Would you have a panic attack, et cetera, et cetera? The other thing that I would want to know as a follow-up question is, how does this 2-hour routine influence your life? Are you late for school? Are you late for work? Are you failing classes? Are you being written up? Because part of the diagnosis for OCD is it affecting the social or the employment or the academic areas of your lives? So if there's a big influence there,
Right, some level of disruption of your life.
Yeah. Because mowing the lawn takes a long time for me. That's probably not true. But it doesn't, like, I'm not getting written up at work because I'm mowing the lawn, right?
Sure.
But you don't have to mow the lawn to go to work. You do have to shower to go to work. right? So
Hopefully.
touche. Anyway, so that's a question I'd want to know.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Should we do the next one?
On to the next.
Okay.
Tell me something you do because of your OCD.
I've walked around for hours with my hand clenched in my pocket because I touched something like a public door handle, and I could feel it on my hands until I was able to wash them.
Okay, that's a fairly quick one and not very descriptive of what he's experiencing, but we have a behavior, like a compulsion potentially, but not necessarily why. I don't know. What do you guys think? What questions would you have?
This one I would have a lot of follow-up questions for, right? I mean, obviously the amount of time is important because, I mean, 2 hours of walking around like that wouldn't be very pleasant. But I would have a lot of follow-up questions about maybe like what are some of the intrusive thoughts, right? Because that's more of like the behavioral component of it. But I would want to know more about what are the intrusive thoughts? Why do you feel like you have to do that?
One thing that is interesting, and this is like a whole nother topic of conversation that I probably don't have near enough information on, but it's interesting with OCD, you'll find certain themes or certain elements of fluidity among OCD and lots of different people. Contamination is one of those themes, right? So the idea where he talks about, well, I can feel it, I mean, it falls within a very, sounds wrong to say popular, but a very common OCD theme is contamination. So that at least points in that direction. There's a decent time frame. But I agree with you, Shara. There's so many questions to ask, which you can't get in a 7-second TikTok video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's fine.
Inherent issue of mental health TikTok videos, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, I like this one. There's a few different things going on. We've got him closing the slightly ajar TV stand door, fixing the bottle tab or the can tab, and changing the volume on the TV to an even number. What do you guys think?
I liked a lot of this video just for the entertainment value. Like, that was really well done.
Sure.
And I also think, because I relate a lot, right? I go downstairs and our little boy has like opened up the cupboard doors and I'm like, no, those are supposed to be shut, right? So I can relate on a personal level with this one.
I know, and the TV volume one, I think everyone knows someone who does that.
Right.
Or I do it myself.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting though because I actually do have a TV volume that I would really like the TV to be at, but it has nothing to do with what would happen if it was more or less. Like, I just prefer it to be at that level, right? And so like follow-up questions that I would have for this person would be, why does it have to be at 20? Is it because that's the exact right volume for your ears? That's just what you like? Or is it because there's some kind of an idea about it has to be an even number, or if I don't have it at this number, something bad is going to happen, something like that.
Oh, totally.
And I'm the person who leaves the cupboard doors open and who leaves the microwave with 1 second left and all of those things.
It was like a kind of like a game when we were kids. If we knew my grandpa was coming over to like make our paintings crooked and stuff, because we knew he would fix them, like kind of like the guy in this video. And like as a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like so OCD. But like it's there's just not. It's so little information for what you need to be diagnosed with OCD that some of these behaviors I think are just common things people like, right?
I want to know what it says about you and me, where when you say it was a game when Grandpa comes over, because my first thought was I want to break that tab off. and see what he does with the can when the tap is gone.
Sure.
So what does that say about the people like us who are purposefully going around trying to like stress people out? That's a whole nother video, but
I like to think I'm inquisitive.
Right.
yeah, I think there's a lot of questions on this because we actually don't have any verbal understanding of what's going on, right? Because these kinds of things may legitimately cause all kinds of stress for him. I don't think we see that in the video. I think
Sure.
we change it to 20, but he did it fairly nonchalantly. But it may actually cause all kinds of intrusive thoughts. So there's a lot of follow-up questions on this one.
Right, but again, follow-up questions would really be trying to ascertain how much time this is taking out of his life, how much is it actually interrupting his day and his other activities, interfering with work, those kinds of things, and just how much distress this is causing him. Because the need to do things like keep cupboards closed or have the TV at the right volume, depending on the amount of stress, might not be clinically significant.
Sure. I also think it gets hard with behaviors like this because, I mean, a 2-hour shower, obviously that's a really long shower. Things like this, if you did that took nothing out of his day as far as that video showed, but if you were doing that 5,000 times a day with different things, it could take a lot of your time, but it's hard to measure that, right? You're not going to walk around with a stopwatch and time a whole bunch of little things.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it makes it tricky.
I like that one for entertainment value too.
It was fun.
Then you'll love this one.
All right, guys, just because I got 5 TVs and they're all color coordinated doesn't mean I have OCD. I mean, come on. Just because Hold on. Just because I got color coordinated remotes doesn't mean I got OCD. What are you guys talking about? Because my Xboxes are all color coordinated, because my games and my movies are in alphabetical order, doesn't mean I got OCD. What are you talking about? Look at this. I got my remotes that are color coordinated too. You know, they got labels where to go. I don't got OCD. What are you talking about? What's the volume on over here? 11? No! Even numbers only unless they end in 5. I mean, come on, are you crazy? Oh, almost stepped on the line. Almost, that was a close one. Just because my closet's color coordinated as well doesn't mean I got OCD, guys. I mean, what are you talking about? Come on. No OCD over here. Are you crazy? Ties are color coordinated too over there. Look at this thing. It turns on. Come on. No OCD over here.
That was my favorite one.
I was going to say, you're right. I like that one for entertainment value too. That was very well done.
And can we just say this guy's basement's amazing?
I know, it's so sweet. I'm kind of jealous watching it with his 5 TV setup and his 5 Xboxes.
So what kinds of things would you want to follow up with? Or what are your thoughts?
I mean, my first thought is like, it seems kind of smart to have your remotes and your TVs and your Xboxes labeled. If you've got that many and they're all exactly the same, like that strikes me as like good planning in a lot of ways, or just being organized. I don't know. That's my first initial reaction outside of jealousy, because that'd be awesome to have that basement. But
this is one of the things that I think that we sometimes struggle with, is when people come into our office and say things like, well, I just have to have things this particular way, so I must have OCD, right? And I'm not saying whether this guy does or doesn't. I'm just saying that sometimes people might see the need to keep things straight or color coordinated or organized and assume that means that they have OCD. Whereas, like, sure, that could be part of it, but it's not necessarily like a full picture of what it looks like to have OCD. People with OCD may or may not need things to be straightened and organized in that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. You know, one of the other themes that we see across OCD is like a persecutory theme, which may have nothing to do with organization, but it might, right? So yeah, lots of follow-up questions on this one too. I think he hits a lot of the criteria very well. You've got some of the superstitious stuff with the crack that he almost stepped on. You've got the organization stuff.
I think we saw the TV one again.
The volume.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So I think this TikTok very well depicts some of the things that we struggle with. It would then be a lot of the questions of, okay, so what are the thoughts that are obsessive in your mind if it is at I don't know, what was the volume, did we know?
It was at 11. He moved it to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, what are the thoughts if we don't? How much stress does it cause? Is this kind of stuff getting in the way? So lots of questions to follow up on this one. Great entertainment value.
So it seems like, I mean, if someone was watching this and they were wondering if they thought they had OCD or struggled with it or something, it seems like we have a lot of the same follow-up questions, right? Like, How much time do these behaviors take you? How distressing are they? Is it to the point where that's clinically significant that it bothers you that much? Those kind of things. I don't know. So I feel like you can't diagnose yourself off of a TikTok, but also it might give you some good questions to ask yourself if you feel like you struggle with some of this stuff.
Right. Well, and I think that this is like one of the goods and bads of this kind of, I don't know, all of the TikTok and shorts and stuff, is that on one hand, it gets you some good information and can give you some ideas about things and kind of normalize some of what you're experiencing. But on the other hand, it's never giving a completely clear picture of what this looks like across the board. The need to keep things straight, the need to have your closet color coordinated, right? Those things don't necessarily mean that you have OCD. They also don't necessarily mean that you don't, right?
Sure.
And so like it's good because there's like some of this information out there, but it's just not full information. It's important to then kind of take it to the next step and say, okay, there's way more questions out there about this than just what you can see in a short video.
Yeah, I think, like we probably have said in lots of these videos, it shows the importance of going and talking to somebody. If you feel like this is like if you're concerned about something like this, go talk to a professional, and they'll ask you all those follow-up questions and help you figure out what is clinically significant, what is a exorbitant amount of time to be spending in the shower, and those kind of things, and pay attention to those disruptions in your life.
And hopefully help reduce the distress too.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, totally.
That was fun. Some good entertainment value there too.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks.
Thank you.